Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is If Loving You Is Wrong, Season 4, Episode 7, and the name of this episode is Something Is Rotten. Excuse me, y'all. This was actually a pretty good episode, but before I get started, let me offer my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedy in Texas, as well as the tragedy in Las Vegas, and also everyone that was affected by the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. If you can give any relief or any kind of support whatsoever, please do so, because we really need to help our fellow man in these crazy times that we're living in. Okay, now, let me begin with this review. The episode opens up where it left off, where Stevens and Esperanza are getting hot and steamy on the countertop in the kitchen, and Eddie sees this from the outside door. He breaks the door down, and him and Stevens go at it. And I have to say, Stevens held his own in this fight. I have to say, I think Eddie done met his match with Stevens, because Stevens was giving it back to Eddie. Like, they were, they was kind of like tussling and everything, but Stevens was getting some licks in. Next thing you know, finally Lucian shows up. He breaks it up and everything. Eddie's still talking his big shit, like I'ma mess you up, and all this other shit, pretty much going back and forth with Steven. He even called Esperanza a bitch, and how could you do this? And it's me and you, And Lucian literally had to be like, look, get your ass out of here. And then Lucian's like, you got one more time to touch me. He's like, yo, if you don't get your ass out of here, we're going to take your ass in. And he's like, yeah, it's going to take two of you to take me down. And then the next thing we see that Eddie finally left. But Eddie is not done, because this really just pissed off Esperanza. Esperanza's now embarrassed, and she pretty much just yells and kicks out Lucian and Stevens and everything. Then when they get outside, Lucian is going off on Stevens like, what the hell is going on? And why the hell are you naked? What the hell happened? And he said that, look, after you left, I went to fix the bullet holes. She was looking so high and everything when she was on the ladder. He's like, so explain why you're naked. And he explains about, the paint being spilt on him, and, Marcy's, Esperanza's hide, and, I just saw my chance and I took it. And Lucian's like, man, everybody know Esperanza's hot. And at the end of the day, it's like, yo, you kind of crossed the line here. What the hell were you thinking? And he's just like, man, just get your ass in the car. Like, I ain't going to tell your ass again. Get your ass in the car. Lucian was not here for it at all. He really was pissed off. So, we saw that go down with them. Then, we see Marcy gets a call from Ian. He has questions about the house, and also reference to the inspection because his son has allergies. And then he was saying that, but she says that she said that she can actually come over so he can look into the house. And he says, great, I'm already in the area because I have a client that lives across the street. She asks who the client is. He's like, I can't tell you that. But Marcy's like, I know pretty much everybody in that neighborhood. So the question is, why can't you tell her that that who you living across the street from? But then again, Marcy, if you know the area, you should know who lives across the street. I mean, Kelly literally lives right across the street from his house. The question is, why is he moving right across the street from her? And what does this all mean? I mean, what is Ian's intentions? Because we already kind of get the sense of Ian that he's very snaky and how the way he moves and shit. So we already are getting that, yeah, he's definitely on to something. But when Marcy's questioning him, he keeps denying, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you. But then she lets him know that, well, another person that lives across the street is my ex, Randall. And she says that, wow. So Ian's like, wow, your ex still lives in this neighborhood? And she's like, yeah, he lives in the blue house right down the street from you. So, and then he was like, wait a minute. Does he by any chance know Larry? And she's like, yeah, they were college roommates. And then Ian's like, interesting. Yeah, very interesting because we get a scene with them, and I'm definitely going to get to that. I will say that that whole situation between the two of them, yeah, it was a big eye opener. They were both on some fishy, on some real fishy mess. So we're gonna find out. Eventually, we're gonna find out what's really going on between the two of them. But it's obvious something ain't right in the air in that scene, especially when it comes down to Larry and Randall. But then, you know, alright, so pretty much that's what's going on there. Then we have a scene with Brad and Alex. Now, tell me why this stupid heifer, you know, he asks about, you know, what the doctors say. She starts talking about the baby, but he's like, no, I'm talking about the DNA test. You know, what did she say? And she says, oh, yeah, she told me she switched it. You know, she actually switched it, and, you know, that's what she said. And I'm like, Alex, here you go, lying again. You just got this fool to move his stuff back in, and you already telling lies. And then another thing we noticed, there was also that, you know, that camera that he took from Randall's house, it was on and it was recording everything. So pretty much all of this is going to play back. And it's going to be crazy how this is all going to unfold, but you can kind of look at Alex and Brad's face. Brad is not fully trusting her. And it makes me question, is Brad recording this on purpose so he can use this, because he's probably going to find that, because I'm thinking Brad will be the type of person that's going to find Nurse Roston and actually, you know, put her in the hot chair to find out what's really going on. But yeah. This is going to be interesting because here we go again. Alex is already telling some damn lies. And knowing damn well, and then, like, you know, if anything, we noticed that Brad was like, well, that's kind of interesting because he kind of looks like Randall. I mean, what's going to happen once the boy gets older and he really starts to look like him? What are you going to do then? You know, and she's like, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But Brad is really kind of on the fence, I think, you know, when it comes down to this whole situation, because you know Alex lies. So I don't think he's fully trusting her as well. He shouldn't. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that down the line. Then we get a scene with Kelly and Natalie. They finally have cleaned up her house. And then if anything, Natalie, you know, Kelly asks Natalie about the gun, and she pretty much, you know, wants to know, like, you know, was this gun illegal? And she's like, oh no, you know, my girl's legit and all of that, and she was saying, like, you know, I wonder if she's like, well, where is the gun? And Kelly's like, they probably took it, and we actually see that she does call Ian, and Ian does tell her that, yeah, they took the gun and that there's a serial number on it. And then eventually Ian does eventually show up. And, you know, pretty much she's, you know, Kelly's like, I'm just over this whole situation. How is it that Travis can ruin my life like this? But then again, I don't think Travis is working alone. I think that whole situation involving her job, Miss Diane is behind that. And maybe in time we'll find that out. But so pretty much, so if anything, wait a minute. So what ended up happening is that Ian shows up, and that's when they asked him about the gun, and he pretty much says that, you know, well, yeah, the police took the gun, and it does have a serial number on it, and like, you know, Natalie is asking this question, so eventually this sparks Kelly's curiosity, like, why are you asking this? Are you mean to tell me that that girl stole me an illegal gun? She's like, oh no, I'm just curious, I just wanted to know. And then we see that Natalie hauls ass out of that place, and then she calls Lucian, and she's asking about the gun, and she's saying that, you know, the police have it, and the gun has a serial number, so that means the gun's legit, right? And then Lucian is like, yeah, and it could also mean that the gun was stolen, and they can actually trace that gun from the serial number. And then all of a sudden you see Natalie trying to cover her tracks with Lucian, like, well, can you go in and find out what's going on with this and all that? And Lucian's like, well, what you should have done was not actually get that girl to sell her a gun. Like, that was real smart. And she's like, well, you know, and she's like, and how do you know about all this anyway? She says, well, her lawyer's here, and I asked him about it. And then like, Lucian was like, you really are a piece of work. But he says that, look, I'll look into it and see what I can find, and I'll get back to you. Alright, then afterwards, she goes to Brad and Alex's house, and this really pissed me off with Natalie because she won't let the damn thing go. She immediately goes over there, so, I need to talk to you, Alex. You know, is this Lucian's baby? I'm like, didn't this man just told you in a few episodes ago that that wasn't his kid, and yet you still asking about it? It's like, that's what gets on my nerves with Natalie, because Natalie is so insecure, she does not want to let nothing go. She's still bothered, and she just has to go and confront Alex about it. Alex pretty much says that, look, I'm sure that Lucian is not the father of this child. Yes, it was messed up that I threw that out there, and it created a big mess, but all I know is that Randall isn't the father. And she's like, well, is Lucian involved? And she's like, no, Lucian's not involved. You know, Randall immediately jumped to conclusions because due to the fact that he was proven he wasn't the father of the baby, he's now questioning every black man on the block. And since he knows that Lucian is the only other black guy I know, he immediately put it on Lucian, and I just played along with it just to get Randall to leave me alone. But honestly, Lucian's not the father of this child. And then Brad actually stepped in and backed her up, like, yeah, I'm sticking with Marcy. He's not the father of this child. And then next thing you know, he decides to link it that, yeah, because we come to find out that Randall really is the father of the baby, but her doctor switched that DNA. So Alex is like, why would you tell her that? Like, you know, Brad, he's like, look, she needs to know. She needs to know what's going on because, for one, she hates Randall just as much as you do, and on top of it, this will actually help ease her mind that Lucian has nothing to do with this. So pretty much, after that, you know, Natalie was cool and she ended up leaving, but then after she left, Alex is going off like, what if she tells someone? And she's like, look, we know it's not Lucian's kid, and she hates Randall just as much as you. But then Alex is like, well, that's the problem. You know, what if she flies off the handle and tells the whole world? What are we going to do then? He's like, look, don't worry about that. You know, Natalie's good. Everything's going to be fine. But the reason why Alex is paranoid because she just lied, and she know that lie is going to come back and bite her in her ass. And I, for one, am here for that because I can't stand Alex and her bullshit. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. Then, back at Kelly's house, she's there talking to Ian. Ian pretty much says that, look, Travis has a very clean record. All he does is go to church and go home and spend time with his fiance. But then she's asking, you know, has he contacted you? And she says that, no, but I've been getting a lot of these calls and hang-ups and stuff. And pretty much, he says that I can file an affidavit to actually trace all your, you know, all of your phone calls and all that and see who's been, you know, calling and hanging up. But then he asks, so you mean to tell me that Travis actually came in here and took your brush and your knife and planted it at the crime scene? And she's like, yeah, only Travis could do that. And she's like, well, what about your son? Your son knew about a lot of information. I'm like, Ian, you idiot. And she even had to say, like, you know my son didn't do this. Did you see how big Ramsey was? My son didn't do this at all. This is all Travis. Travis told him to say that. You know, like, so she's just, like, really getting, like, frustrated. Like, yo, I'm trying to tell you, Travis is behind this. You need to track him down. And Ian said that, look, we can question him, but he has to come in voluntarily, you know, because we don't have nothing against him. And she's like, Jill, you mean to tell me he can ruin my life like this and continue to harass me and nothing, and he just walks away free and scot clean and nothing happens to him? She's saying that, look, unless we can get something on him and to convict him, we can't do anything. We just have to proceed as it is. But, yeah. But then, if anything, she was asking, like, okay, so, you know, can I get my gun back? And she was like, I don't know about that. But she's like, well, look, I need protection for me and my son. I don't trust being in here by myself, you know, without no protection. So he was like, yeah, I can see what I can do. But one thing is, I need to take you to a shooting range, and you need to put a safe on your gun as well. So I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen there. So after he gets done with Kelly, he goes with Marcy. He does, you know, another inspection of the house and everything. And she says that, you know, while, you know, I'll let you inspect the house and I'll be outside. She goes outside, and guess who rolls up on her? Randall, a.k.a. Psycho Betty. And Psycho Betty is already there starting shit. And she's like, and she just kind of looked at him and kind of like laughed. He's like, oh, you laughing, huh? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, huh, yeah, you laughing now, but we're going to see who's really going to be laughing soon. And he's like, so I see you got my friend that represents you. And she was like, yeah. And she's like, why won't you just sign the damn papers? Look, I'm giving you everything, you know, why don't you sign the papers? But he's like, no, I'm not signing nothing. You left the debt. And she's like, yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm giving you everything. Why don't you just sign the fucking papers? Just leave me the hell alone. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. And she's like, you know what, you're such an ass. And he's like, yeah, I can be. I'm like, Randall, you are not going to be happy that somebody puts a bullet in your damn head. Because you just keep fucking with everybody. And then you want to act like a little bitch when somebody, you know, messes with you back. Like, you know, when Brad pushed you off that damn ladder. You immediately start acting like a little bitch. And don't nobody got time for that. And then all of a sudden, you know, Ian pretty much comes out and he sees that Marcy is getting really bothered and distressed dealing with Psycho Betty's ass. So he's like, is everything okay, Marcy? Is there a problem? And he's like, you know, and also he's like, so you screwing my wife? Then, you know, Marcy's like, you know what, let's go inside and let's continue to, you know, to handle the business of the house. And then he's like, and she's like, and then all of a sudden when they was going in, Randall, Psycho Betty's like, oh, yeah, won't you take him to the bedroom? Yeah, show him that. Yeah, you know, yeah, you know you like the screw, you know you like the screw for a sale. And I'm like, Randall, get your stupid, crazy ass on, because you really don't know what the hell's going on. And then as soon as he gets inside, Ian is like, yo, is Larry actually handling this? Because I don't like this at all. And he's like, and she's like, you know what, I'm not going to get into this with you, but, you know, did you see what you wanted? He's like, yes. And she's like, do you have any second thoughts? And he's like, so he's saying, do you see what you wanted? And he's looking at her and he's like, yes. You know, do you like what you see? And he's like, yes. I'm like, Ian is so smooth, which is why he can't be trusted, because he was just straight blatantly, you know, letting Marcy know that he want her. And then he was like, take me to dinner. And she's like, excuse me? You know, client, client and buyer, you know, I'm buying I'm buying a new house and I want to celebrate. So they decide to go out to dinner together. But definitely I think it's going to lead to more. So then we actually get a scene. Randall was actually on his way to meet Larry. Now, we know from the last episode, there is something very fishy going on with Larry and Randall's relationship. As I said, I think like when they were in college, they used to go out drinking, and then on the late night, they used to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star with each other. And I really do think that's what's going on, because as soon as we see him, you know, Larry is talking to this man and this woman at this table, and he's talking about, you know, oh yeah, there's this guy, he was butt naked, and then his wife came in, and he was telling this story, and then Randall shows up, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'll wrap up with you guys later. So then he goes to talk to Randall, and he's like, you know, I'm surprised you made it. And Randall's like, well, at first I wasn't going to come, but then I was like, what the hell? And so then Larry was like, well, why did you come? He was like, because you buying drinks. He was like, yeah, you're right. I do. And he's like, besides, you owe me from the last time. He's like, yeah, you're right. So the waiter comes to ask for the drink. This asshole gonna ask for the most expensive brand of cognac. And you just see Larry just... I was like, Randall is such an asshole. I was like, I would have literally bitch slapped the hell out of him if it was me. Like, dude, I'm saying I'm paying. That don't mean, and if I didn't say you can order anything you want or make sure you get what you want, be respectful to not just, I'm going to order the most expensive thing on the menu and break your pockets. Because he is in his feelings, because, as I said before, Randall is such a psychotic bitch, which is why I call him Psycho Betty. He is so psychotic that he only sees the wrong that people do to him, but he does not own the wrong that he does to everyone else. So he's like, oh, so you're going to represent my wife in a divorce. And Larry's like, look, come on, man. You already know I'm friends with the both of you. And he's like, yeah. But the thing about it is that you were my friend first, and I met you first. And you're my friend. You're not her friend. And she's like, oh, and I wonder, does she know about you? And I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? And then Larry's like, no, she doesn't know. You know. And, yeah. So then, you know, he's saying that, because he's saying that, look, because then Randall's like, look, you know that I know how you do things and everything like that. And, if anything, he was like, look, so then Larry was like, okay, well, does she know about you and how you used to be back in the day? And he's like, oh, no, she doesn't know anything. And he's like, are you sure? I was like, okay, what's going on with the two of you? I mean, and it's just crazy. And he's saying that, so what's going, so, and then pretty much he was like, and if anything, he was like, you know what? And all of a sudden, like, Randall's like, you know I can see right through you, right? And I'm like, okay. And then, he was saying that, look, you know, so he's saying, so Randall's like, so why did you really want to meet me? He's like, because, you know, it's been a long time and I really wanted to see you. I really wanted to get close to you again. And he's like, you know what? I really will take this bottle and bust you up in your head, but your secret is safe with me. And I was like, see, there's too much going on over here with these two. I mean, literally, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star was playing in my head while they were having this conversation. Because I'm like, there is too much fishiness going on in this whole situation. And then he starts talking about Marcy, and he's like, so what did Marcy tell you? And he's like, oh yeah, she told me about, you know, you and Alex messing around, and, you know, that there's a baby involved. And she's like, oh, did she tell you that she also had sex with Alex's husband? Oh, and did she tell you that the two of them lived together? And he was like, oh my God, no, oh. And I'm like, see, why the hell, Marcy, you got the wrong motherfucker to represent you, because we already see Larry can't be trusted, and that Larry is pretty much going to be playing, is going to be kind of playing on both sides, and all he's going to do is just make the situation worse. And it's already kind of obvious that Randall done already, you know, he got stuff on Larry, so Larry is going to play, you know, on Randall's tune, and it's just like, man, this is going to be some craziness here. So we see all that going on, and I'm just like, wow, yeah, there's some serious suspect stuff going on here. So then he asked him, what was you talking to them about? He was like, oh man, they're easy. You know how we used to back in the day, you know, buy some drinks and, you know, get people lifted up and, you know, anything goes. So the two of them used to, you know, mark people and would, like, get them drunk and take advantage of them. So then they pretty much go over, like, yeah, let me introduce you to them. He introduced them to the girl and the guy. He's like, yeah, you know, definitely a few shots for her and probably about 4 Jack Daniels for him. Yeah, we got their asses. I'm like, see, these two assholes are messy as hell, and I really do think there was also more going on between the two of them, and I think in time we're going to find that out. Because, yes, the jury is out on these two bitches. Oh, yeah, and then he also told him about him setting up the camera on the porch, and every time, and like, if anything, he's hearing all of this, and Larry is kind of like, yo, this is really unhealthy. This is insane. Are you crazy? And he's like, well, yeah, I am. And he's like, yeah, and I'm also asking every black man on the corner, is like, bruh, you are doing entirely too much. This is really insane here. Like, are you literally asking every black man that you meet, is he the father of Alex's baby? And he's like, yeah, and I'm not giving Marcy a divorce, and I won't be satisfied till I make their lives a living hell. And I'm like, see, as I said before, Psycho Betty ain't gonna be happy till somebody put her in the grave, because it's like she's not gonna stop. Then we get a scene with Natalie and Esperanza. Esperanza definitely dressed as if like she done got, like somebody was, you know, cooking up in her kitchen. So she definitely dressed, you know, like, yeah, somebody done, you know, pulled the stem out of her cherry. So she knocks on the door. She's all distraught and everything about Eddie, and she's saying that Eddie came in and he tore up my house, and I'm just so over him, and he gets on my nerves, and I shot him. I shot at him to get him out the house and all that. So she's telling Natalie all of this, and then, you know, she's talking about something that he was fighting Steven and all of this, and you know. And, you know, Natalie's like, okay, fighting Steven, what the hell was really going on? And she pretty much explains that Steven, she didn't even mention Lucian, but she mentions that, you know, that Stevens that came over after she shot up the house to get rid of Eddie, he chose to help her to cover the bullet holes, you know, pretty much, she talks about, you know, him feeling the pain and all of that, and, you know, next thing you know, Eddie, she said, I thought I got rid of Eddie, but Eddie came back, and when he came back, me and Stevens was having sex. And she was like, you and Stevens? Really, girl? And then the next thing you know, the conversation turns, because all of a sudden, Natalie goes to get a bottle of wine. She's like, oh, we need to drink on this. We need to find out what's going on. And, you know, after they started drinking, she was, you know, Marcy, after they started drinking, Esperanza started spilling the tea that, yeah, and it was good, too. And she was like, ooh, oh, so Stevens was getting it, huh? She's like, oh, yes. You know, I mean, and then, like, Natalie's like, well, I didn't know you were a freak like that. I'm like, really, Natalie? We all know Esperanza's a freak. Like, I don't know where you been, but we all know that Esperanza get down. She be playing like that, you know, I'm this docile little thing. That's just a part of her, you know, form of flirting. You know, I want to act like I'm this little damsel in distress, or I'm going to play like I'm I don't usually do this, but we know that damn Esperanza is a cat in heat, and she will scratch, and she got 9 lives, and she don't mind using them. So let's be real. So, you know, pretty much she was saying that, yeah, Eddie caught me and Stevens having sex, and it pissed him off, and he just came in and just went crazy. And then, like, Nellie's like, you created a monster is what you did. But then she asked, is he better than Eddie? She was like, big time. I was like, ooh. So she's like, yeah, he got that kind of meat that you want to do it again. I was like, oh, dang. So Esperanza was spilling all of this tea. Next thing you know, Lucian comes in, and Esperanza hauls ass out of the house. I was like, oh, shit. It was so funny. She was like, oh, hi, Lucian. Well, I got to go, girl. I'll holler at you later. Okay, bye. I'm like, ooh. Yeah, because you was afraid that Lucian was going to pull your card and was going to expose how much of a hoe you are. And that part was just hilarious. And then, like, Lucian's like, what the heck were you guys talking about? And why did she rush out of here so fast? She was like, and she was like, I don't know, won't you tell me? And she's like, I can't really talk about it. And then there she go again, questioning him, like, what is it? It seemed to me that every time I ask you something, you don't want to tell me. I'm like, maybe it's because you asking the wrong questions, dumbass. But then he pretty much says that, yeah, but that's the least of my worries. We need to talk to Kelly. And she's like, for what? She says, I ran that gun. I found out information about the gun. She's like, okay, what is it? She's like, well, the issue is that the gun has been reported stolen. So she's like, stolen? And he's like, no, that's not the issue, really. The fact is that the gun was stolen from Ramsey. So I'm like, oh, shit. So this is going to connect her and Ramsey all over again. And she's like, man, the DA is going to flip when she finds out this shit. So, yeah, Kelly is right back in the trenches yet again. So I'm like, damn. So that's where the episode ended. So I'm like wondering what's going to happen next, because this is crazy. And it's like, how is it that that gun was attached to Ramsey when she bought this gun from this random chick? How did this chick, like, how was this even possible? So I think this is just another gimmick that Travis has pulled. But I think, you know, next episode we're going to find out more. So, that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I've started a GoFundMe. You can actually find that link in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of If Loving You Is Wrong. So until then, everybody, take care.